I am so sorry. StreamYard for some reason said it couldn't find my camera. So I was trying to log in. They said they couldn't find my camera. Then I logged back in again. And not only could they not find my camera, they couldn't find my mic. So I'm ready to go live, but I can't do anything. So I have to research how to find my camera. Nothing works. So I had to shut my computer down completely, lost half of the work that I was working on because Google, I guess Chrome, I use Google Chrome. I guess that was the issue and they were having some kind of issue. So I lost a lot of my information, but it's okay. God is good. How are you guys? How are you guys? I'm just thankfully some stuff was saved in my history tabs. But a lot of stuff was not, but it's okay. Because I'm here and I'm here with you guys. How are you? Gosh, I just miss doing, the only thing I miss about the recorded reviews that I used to do is that I didn't have these technical issues because it's always so much pressure when something happens and I know people are waiting for me. I get flashes, hot flashes and anxiety attacks because I hate that. I hate people waiting on me. So that's the only thing I miss. What I love most about the lives is just interacting with you guys in real time. But man, I can't believe I'm saying this. I felt like it was easier when I was just recording them and editing them for hours. Hey, Malty, how are you? Thank you so much for being here. gosh. Love Like You Are said, hey, y'all, happy Friday. Finally caught a live. Thank you for being here, Love Like You Are. Oh, also, I changed the time of this live because of the Cassie stuff that just dropped today. And I knew that you guys were we're going to want to talk about it. So I didn't want to say, oh, I'll do that later. I just changed the format so we can talk about it. I'm sorry, Anita Baker. We had to take you off the docket and replace Cassie with you. I'm sorry, but you know, the only thing I was going to say about Anita Baker is that I feel like something is going on, because normally when Anita Baker cancels a concert, she says something. She releases a statement. She hasn't said anything yet, so I'm just hoping that she's okay. I am Aisha said, girl, what's going on? Ciao. Mercury is in micro braids again. Hey, Alicia. Simply Simone said, girl, it's been a mess. It sure has. Like, guys, as soon as that information hit, my phone went crazy. And I'm like, what is going on? And I look on Twitter and I'm like, oh, God. The entertainment industry is done. It's done, because if the Me Too movement is hitting hip hop, yikes. Tia B said, what's good? Nikki, Mercury is in retrograde with these shenanigans. Absolutely. Hey, Alex, how are you? Happy Friday. Love Like You Are said, I really hate that some people are now accepting Cassie's word because they needed a video. Really sad, but always expected when assault happens to a woman or children. It's always expected. Society is not fair to the underprivileged. Roselle said, Nikki, in your own words, my God, today. Ella said, this has to be traumatizing for Cassie. It absolutely is. I hope she's off the internet. Robin said, hey, Nikki, I clicked on this live so quick. Love to hear your thoughts on this Diddy and Cassie hotel footage. Oh, we're going to talk about it. Because that, yikes. TK Kennedy Reed said, Mary should have been selling boots. Happy to catch you live, and you are correct. Miss GG88 said, happy Friday. I needed this. These people at work are stressing me out on a Friday. I'm so sorry. Hopefully we can bring you, well, not on everything, but hopefully we can help you occupy your time positively. Sasha C says, hey, everybody. Hey, Sasha. Hey, CK. Michelle Melinda said, oh, I'm disappointed people were hiding video evidence like they did with our Kelly case, but still relieved that they kept it so he can no longer hide himself. Absolutely. Very disturbed, Pink Petals. Lovey said, OMG, that video, yep, just gross. Teresa said, you're worth the wait. Figured you were eating. You remember that last time? I was sitting here chilling. And then I just happened to look at my phone and I was like, oh, shoot. This time it wasn't me. It was StreamYard. Kayla said, girl, hung up on my bestie so quick to get this live on time. I'm not missing a moment. I know that's right. Hey, Yolande, how are you? A disturbing Friday indeed. Megan said, I think there's going to be a domino effect in the music industry. I pray it is. Diddy is just the first piece. I pray that it's the big dogs, right? And not the little people who are quiet because they're afraid. Farid said, girl, that Diddy case is a mess. I feel bad for Cassie. She has to see those images circulating around, but I hope they believe her now. Unfortunate for women, it has to be video evidence. Hill, how are you? Indy said, Nikki, you are looking super gorgeous as per usual. Thank you. It's finally cool in Atlanta. That's probably what it is. Missy said, this was just seconds of years of abuse. Yep. Hey, it's Latasha. What's up, Bria? We're going to get into that today at 6 p.m. It was supposed to be 5:30, but this StreamYard fiasco, I had to change the time. But 6 p.m. today, after this live, I am going to do a reality TV chat, and we're going to talk about all things reality TV, specifically the new cast of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. It sure has. That will be in the reality TV chat, AC, today at 6 p.m. Hey, E for Empathy, how are you? Too much going on, indeed. Oh, Ireland. I so want to go. I heard it was so fun. Have a great time for me. It's Latasha said, have you been following the Karen Reed trial? It's crazy to see how these people responded. I do not know who that is. You don't want to work with me no more? Okay. That's exactly what I think happened as well. That's exactly what I think happened as well, because this is all talked about in the case. This is all talked about in the case. Oh, thank you. Shout out to the hair store. I'm telling you, every earring of mine that you guys like, I've gotten from my local hair store. Or Forever 21 and H&M back in the day. Lashane, what's up? Said, hey, Nikki girl. I saw the feds actually gave this to CNN. Yes, that's what I think. That's what I think happened. I hope so. I hope that that's the domino effect, because none of us, we all felt like something was off with her passing. None of it made sense, and especially how her friends were moving and Kimora posting like these messages all over Instagram back in the day. Nobody felt comfortable with that. I hope that it is reopened. I absolutely hope it is reopened. Hey, realities, how are you? Hey, bestie. Thank you, Kiki. I'm going to end with Micah, and then we're going to get into, I think we're just going to start with Cassie. Here is why. It's just very dark. You know what I mean? And I don't want us to be in like a, just a, not as upbeat, but, I just want to start with that so we can, move on to other things. I feel like that's just something that happened today, a few hours ago. So I think we should just get into that first. Micah says, hey, Nikki in chat, feel so bad for Cassie. At the same time, glad the video's out. I hope this is just the beginning. And for 50 Cent to troll the way he does, he better be worried himself. All of them, men and women, in especially the music industry. Because this is the thing, guys. I just want to say this. If everything starts to come out, because DJ Academics is talking, he's like, if I go down, everybody goes down, right? I want you all to be aware, the people that you love the most, the celebrities that you think are so unproblematic, you're just be prepared to find out stuff about people that you love. Chew to me to spit out the bowl. You can enjoy the talent and disregard the person, but you can also choose to not give that person any more money. But I just want you to all be aware that this is also connected. The stuff in the brutality that happens in this industry is, why is Google trying to push this AI stuff? That's the issue. They keep on sending me messages about AI. Absolutely not. Anyway, the brutality that is allowed in this industry is because so many people protect really bad people, and they protect really bad people for money and opportunities. And then when they get in those spaces, because they protected those really bad people, they repeat the cycle, and it's men and it's women. So just be prepared. If it does, if everything, this is the age of Aquarius, child. If it is revealed, you don't even be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Believe it. Capitalists have no heart. Capitalists have no heart. There are people in this industry who literally sell their children to adult perverts for an opportunity. It happens. And these kids have been telling y'all, these kids have been talking, but everybody overlooks the fact that these kids have been saying our parents are prostituting us in this industry, because you're like, oh, well, you have all these opportunities and you have money. What profits a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? Like, how do you enjoy all of those things if you are completely broken and damaged? Like, the kids have been talking, the child stars have been talking, but nobody has been listening. And I'm hoping now that, people who have been abused within this industry will finally have not only a voice, but have their voices heard, because it just happens so often by some of the most talented people. It happens so often. Why? Money. Capitalism will be the death of this nation. That's dark. Let's start off with the beautiful Miss Cassie. So today we all saw the video of her some against our will. Like, there was like no warning or anything on these videos. I mean, CNN, I get that it's news, but I'm like, we don't blur stuff out anymore. Like, it was just insane, right? I actually saw a clip from CNN's Twitter just in my feed, and it was a video of Cassie being assaulted by Diddy. Now, the thing about this that it's very not, I won't say weird or concerning, but it's just accurate. I'll say that it's very accurate. This is, if you read a few of the case filings when she first dropped the when the case was first dropped, I think a lot of people forget because it came and went, right? Diddy settled so quickly. Now, if in that, if you, I think it was like page 73 or something like that, she detailed this entire situation, word for word, bar for bar. Like everything that she said happened in that video. And this happened at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles on, I believe it was in 2016. The video was absolutely heartbreaking. The disturbing thing is that now people are believing her, right? Before it was, oh, this is a money grab. Now it's like, oh, it actually happened. And it's so sad that women and children have to have some type of photographic evidence to be believed when assault happens. It's really disturbing. So shout out to the women who believed her from jump and supported her, because they, those women are aware of how we are treated in this world, no matter the race. No matter the race. This is the preference, right? The preference didn't even get any grace. The preference. And it's extremely unfortunate that now that it's video evidence, people are starting to believe her. And it's really crazy that there's even some men who are just like, what did she do to piss him off? Some of you got to go to sleep for good. Anyway, all of this that happened in this video was talked about in Cassie's case against Diddy. Extremely heartbreaking that this man felt so comfortable to do that, because in the case, it alleges that not only did Diddy beat Cassie, he beat her in the room, right? She escaped. Then he beat her in the hallway, and then he beat her by the elevators while she was trying to escape. She called for help. She eventually was able to get out of the hotel room, and then Diddy's security guard brought her back to be brutalized by Diddy again, physically and sexually. And this is all in her case against Diddy. Now, it also is alleged that he paid $50,000 to the hotel to purchase that tape. I don't think that it's a coincidence that after his home was raided, that tape, that the recording of his assault on her is now being made public. Here is why. I personally know that a lot of news organizations, gossip magazines, now podcasts, pay for things that they should not have. Specifically in Los Angeles, a LA what is that horrible thing? TMZ paid an officer that was at the scene of Kobe's crash, paid the officer not only for the information, but for pictures of his body and the bodies of his daughter and the gentleman and his child that was in the helicopter with him, along with the pilot. The only reason why TMZ did not release those pictures is because of immediate public backlash. I think they would have. That's how low down they are. I think they would have. But that not LAPD, but that police officer was later fired. But it doesn't matter, because he was probably paid millions from TMZ. So there are a lot of people who work in hospitality, who work in the criminal justice field, who have access to certain information and will pay people for it, and have no issues losing their income from whichever current job that they are working, because they're making so much money off of just selling this information. So you can sue them, you can do whatever you want, but they still have made so much money from this that it just doesn't matter anymore. And a lot of times these people are not convicted, and a lot of times they are not sent to prison or fined to do any time. So it's like a tap on the wrist if anything ever happens. So many people risk their jobs because what they're going to make from selling this information is so much greater than the consequences that they are going to receive. I don't know if this was a Fed that gave this information to CNN or if it was a police officer who was there at the raid, but whoever it is, if they lose their job, they're still going to be very rich. They're still going to be very rich. CNN is $1 billion news network, and that is not the only place that they sold that tape to. So, it happens all the time, unfortunately. But fortunate for Cassie, because I think this is going to help her with another case. I think the Intercontinental is absolutely responsible for protecting Cassie's abuser. Here is why I think that, right? Diddy knew that he was not going to be harmed when he was abusing her. Here is why I believe that. Because he knew he was being watched. And why I believe that he knew that he was being watched is because he never dropped that towel when he was assaulting her. Because he knew that he was being watched. If he didn't know that he was being watched, right? And that this footage will never be seen, he would have dropped that towel and got to business. But he would hit her and then he would grab the towel and make sure that he is not exposed because he's thinking about himself and who will see this. He's not thinking about the woman that he is, about to slaughter. Let's keep it buck. The way he was hitting her, he picked up some vase, threw it at her head. Thank God it missed because she's still here. Kicked her in the head, threw her body down to the ground. Like there was no way that he was not trying to, in my opinion, make sure that woman doesn't see the next day. There was no way. The kicks to the head. Hello. Anyway, he knew that he would be protected. He knew that he would be protected. So the Intercontinental, in my opinion, is absolutely responsible and should be sued at some point by Cassie. I don't know if they were. I think they were in the case, but I think now she has a huge case because she called for help. When she got to the elevator, oh my God, even thinking about that moment, like when she got to the elevator, when she was pressing those buttons and trying to get her stuff, she was almost away from that guy. I'm watching the video and I'm screaming, girl, are there stairs? Get to the stairs. Like extremely devastating just watching. I cannot imagine what that woman was going through in that moment, right? She's at the elevator. He pulls her away and starts to beat her, drags her back to the room. She gets away. Again, goes to the phone of this hotel, on that floor, gets the phone to call for help. Nobody comes to help that girl. And that and allegedly this hotel got $50,000 from Diddy for that tape. Sue them, sis. Sue them. Sue them. If you haven't, sue them. Sue them for everything. And I hope that business for Intercontinental ceases today. Ceases today. That hotel should not be in operation. That hotel should not be in operation. There is no way with that video that should not have been sent to the local authorities. There is no way. Everybody, management on, watched that woman be assaulted and did nothing. Watched that woman escape and watched that security guard bring her back to the hotel and did absolutely nothing. Everybody there that saw that is responsible. It's completely upsetting and unfortunate that she did not have help at the time, but very thankful that she's here today. Because that's just one incident, guys, of the many incidents that we read about, though, for those who read her case against him. That's just one incident. And she survived something more brutal than that. And that's just a few seconds of her life with that man that we saw. It was worse. It was worse. And y'all remember that rumor back in the day that she, shaved her head because he beat her up? And everybody was like, Diddy would never do anything like that. Do y'all remember that? I remember talking about that. What? Was that? No, was that fresh out of high school? I was mad young having this conversation. Anyway, I should not have been. But I remember that because all the girls in school it was college. All the girls in college started cutting their hair. started cutting their hair, and people were just like, y'all know why she did that, right? And we were like, you know what? Maybe it's because this was New York. Because one thing about New York City, they always had the tea. New York was like another world. Anything concerning the music industry, you knew about it in New York like a year before anybody else. I would be listening to music that nobody would hear until like a year later. And by the time I heard it, like if I'm even in Philly, I'm like, oh, this is old. This came out in New York a year ago. So maybe it was because I was in New York. But I remember that rumor. And now it turns out it's true. Extremely unfortunate, extremely unfortunate. But for those who needed proof, I hope this is enough. I hope this is enough. And if it's not, you can join Diddy. Anyway, those are all the things that I have to say about this. What do you guys have to say? Keep in mind, we're talking about domestic violence, so let's choose our words wisely. Let me get this super chat first from Sebastian. Sebastian said, I hope every man, woman, and child who is or was a victim knows that we stand by them. Amen. Much love to Nikki and the Star family. Thank you so much, Sebastian, for the super chat. All righty. Let's get into the comments, and then we're going to move on. I'm sorry. I won't block them next time. Reality said, don't meet your heroes. Don't meet your heroes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Celebrity culture, I never really had it, if we're keeping a buck. I guess it's like it's Philly. Like with Philly ain't never gonna tell you hot. You know what I mean? Like Philly ain't gonna let you know that you that, right? Because everybody in Philly think they that. So maybe that's just like the Philly culture. But when I moved to like LA, I found out that everybody was so awful. And I was like, oh, there was anybody that I liked, it's gone. I will say I have met some celebrities who are just really, really nice. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. Viola Davis, amazing. Like she's the hype. She's, you know what? I won't even say that, because just because I had a good interaction doesn't mean that another person had the same thing, right? And I think that's the problem, right? It's like, oh, this person was nice to me. This person didn't do that to me. It doesn't mean that they didn't do it to anybody else. So, but I agree with you, realities. Don't meet your heroes. Don't meet your heroes. CNN didn't block out anything. I'm telling you, I was just scrolling and I was like, is that Cassie? I didn't even look at Diddy. I just saw like this woman fumbling at the elevator and this man dragging her. Oh my God. Like they did not block out anything. Insane. Like no trigger warning or nothing. You know, them little sets, them trigger screens or something, them privacy screens that they put over a video and say you click at your own risk. That did not happen. That did not happen. DGF said all the way back to Jackie Coogan, Julie Garland, and Mickey Rooney. June Shannon ripped off Alana, aka Honey Boo Boo. The young people are not safe. What's her name? Jeanette McCurdy. She been talking. Oh, another guy, not Corey. Is it Corey Feldman? He been talking. Y'all want to call him crazy? He been telling y'all about this industry. They are not lying. They are not lying. It's Natasha said, yeah, sometimes the people respond as if the kids are exaggerating or speaking hypothetically, but no, they are being exact. Sad. Oh, yep. Absolutely. My mom told me a long time ago that if a kid is around an adult and they are like, they instantly switch up when this adult comes into the room, and the switch up is like fear and like trying to get away, something up with that adult. Something is up with that adult. And I was like, really? She was like, yes. So she was like, that's why I never, like, if you were weird to somebody, I'd never like forced you to like talk to, oh, go talk to, no, she's fine. She's fine. I was just like, oh, thank you. Thank you. Janelle said, hey, Nikki and fam, none of this about Diddy is surprising. We need to start holding businesses accountable because they should have called the police when it happened. Absolutely. Businesses, artists, performance, all of them, right? Remember the whole R. Kelly situation? Everybody started coming out. Yeah, we knew he messed with little girls. He would bring them to the studio. But I was just in there to make music, so I ain't say nothing. You should not be able to make music ever again. You should not be able to make music ever again. You should be shunned. Like, there's no shunning and banishment anymore. The only people that the black community banishes is gay people. Like, hello, there's an issue there. The people who are a part of our community, the people that fight for our community, the people that are on the front line of our community, we throw them away to protect these abusers. It's crazy. It's crazy. And it's not just celebrities. Like, that uncle that touched everybody should not still be coming to stuff, right? The uncle that you got to hide your kids from should not be coming to family events. Why isn't he banished? Like, he should have no family. It's insane the way that these evil people are protected. It's crazy. Fair, I'll give you that. Money, no, you need to suffer with them. You need to suffer with them. You looked away for a coin? Absolutely not. You should have no community. You should have no community. Probably because the videos are hot now, right? So whoever sold the first video is going to make a lot of money with the next ones, if whatever they have. They're going to make a lot of money. And they will suffer no consequences. Miss Lou said there have been rumors about him for decades. Yep. Not sure why people were so quick to windmill for him. Because he's wasn't he Brother Love for a minute? The dancing guy doing all, making great music. That's the thing. Gibson Collins come without repentance. He's a talented guy. Terrible human being. Terrible human being. Always, Melissa. Always. Hey, Give Me Shelter. Thank you for being here. Miss Gigi88 said, I thought that they said somebody from the hotel called the police. Why wouldn't the police pull the footage? Now, I will say this. The reason why I don't believe that is because if the police were called, we would have been saw that video. Them raggedy cops will sell a video, especially in LA. TMZ would have been had that video. So I don't think the police were involved. TMZ would have been had that video and would have showed it. Absolutely not. They got the LAPD on payroll. Paige said, I think that Diddy's son releasing that diss track to the feds is the reason for this tape coming out. They're sending a message. Oh, I don't know about that. What diss track? From his kids? Well, I mean, he did leave them there. Where is he? Ciao. And the sad thing about it is, I don't think that he's going to be charged for abuse. I don't think that with that evidence, I don't think that anything's going to happen. I think they're going to get him probably like money laundering or something, because men who abuse women, there's no consequences for them, right? But when you abuse the U.S. government, when they don't get their money, the U.S. government is the worst bookie in the world, right? You can be a terrible human being. You can harm as many people as you want. But if you don't give the U.S. their financial cut, you're going down. I'm telling you, the only reason why this is happening to this man is because he ain't pay somebody. That's it. This is all money. This is all money. This is not coming out because people are tired of holding this in and they want to do the right thing, and they haven't been able to sleep at night because of what they witnessed. This is money. This is money. This is why he was late on a check. Something happened. Momi said LA service workers definitely know a lot about what's happening there. Also, Diddy has been committing a variety of crimes for decades. I think that law enforcement colleagues, industry execs knew. Yeah, I honestly believe that what we saw him do is not even the tip of the iceberg of what those studio heads have done. He's a little guy in the game. He's a little, like, if this opens all the way up, I think we're going to get to, I feel like I feel like it's a couple people going to start talking. Ciao. Ciao. The NNH said so many people were involved in covering this up and so many other things that man has done. Truly heartbreaking. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, the hotel is closed now? I never even checked. Oh, good. Oh, good. Thank you guys. I didn't even, I should have researched that. L Boogie said Cassie named a bunch of hotels around the world. They'd all be the Cassie International hotels after I sued them all. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. I hope so. I hope so. Everybody, like nobody, there is nobody who heard that. They were just like, what? How she that don't make a lick of sense. Like it just didn't add up. It didn't. But I don't think that anything will be done about that, for her sake. You know what I mean? Let her get her closure, right? Because you know that woman, wherever she is, in a wonderful place, I believe, is stressed out that man is around her daughters. Like, probably the family who don't have the money to fight, friends who don't have the money to fight. Whew, sad. All roads lead to money. That he cracked her skull, so she had to get her head shaved to get surgery to close the wound. But that was in New York. That was in the New York streets. I don't know if that reached anybody else. Honestly, it's the reason why I didn't do it. I'm telling you, everybody did it. I didn't want to do it because everybody did it. I did it because like the people around me that did it looked cute. I was like, I want to be a fly girl. And then I heard that and I was like, oh, maybe not. Moby said, for the people who want to defend an abuser, nothing will ever be enough to be on the side of the one who is victimized. Like, I'm at the point where you're defending an abuser, it's because you're one too. Or you're planning to be one, because for what? For what? Absolutely. Nothing will keep me from shunning you. Blood, get the hell out of here. Nope. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Kayla said, I'm still working my way towards intercontinental level funds, but when I get there, I won't give them. Well, they're closed down. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. But closed down, but does it mean closed and then opened up as something new? Because they do that a lot. They do that a lot. Yes. Now, Captain for Creativity, I heard that too. I didn't hear that. I saw Young Jock talking about that. And that could be it. I'm saying what I heard it was a rumor, and ain't nobody. There was no like truth to that. So that could be the truth as well. Yeah, the NNH said it was really like watching a horror movie. You knew what was going to happen, but unfortunately, you cannot stop what was happening. Yep. He's been talking about it for years. Since I was a child, he's been talking about this, doing all kinds of documentaries. Poor guy, screaming. Thank God for his resilience. He's been screaming this for years. Andy said, yes, guilty by association in other cases. It will be accessory and accessory to commit. It's the same thing. JT Lit said, okay, wake it up, Nikki. Maybe they will banish Diddy once the freak off tapes come out with other men, allegedly. Oh, yeah, that's when it'll happen. If it's something involving another man, that's when they'll get rid of him. That's it. But women and children, have your way. Have your way. Crazy. It's so crazy. So crazy. Give Me Shelter said Phaedra Parks is liking all of Puffy's posts. Isn't she facing her own? Oh, I did. What charges? Oh my gosh. Everybody going down, child. Listen, the people who do not have the money, access, or resources to break into the entertainment industry, um, just get ready. I feel like there's going to be a lot of vacancies. I feel like there's going to be a lot of vacancies. Always that. It's always a money thing. That's why R. Kelly is locked up. It ain't nothing about destroying the lives of of children. No. Money. Money. They rated him and they looked at them books and they realized he wasn't giving the US what he should have been giving them. That it's always that. It's always that. Did it expire? Because I know in New York, I thought they extended it. That's why Cassie filed that. Oh no, it was running out. Who knows? Who knows? I want to get 3 more and then we're going to move on. Love Like You Are said Quincy be looking over his sisters. Oh, good. So I hope he can get some type of guardianship until they become of age. I hope so too. I hope so too. Oh, you heard about it in B-More? So maybe it was an East Coast thing, but I remember that. I'm telling you guys, that's why I did not get that hairstyle. I was going to get it. Oh, them clippers was here. Thank the Lord, because I don't know if my hair would have grew back. But I was here with it. And then I was like, huh? What? Child. Oh my God. JT Lit said, lock his mama up too. Her suspicious wigs tell me she knew and encouraged this behavior. Listen, another rumor. Allegedly. Allegedly, she's a victim as well. Allegedly. Listen, if I'm big enough to get a cease and desist, but and if anything is said to me, you got bigger fish to fry. Hallelujah. But allegedly. Give Me Shelter said Corey Haim unalived himself. Corey Feldman has been an advocate for all children in the industry. Yep. Since his friend confided in him, everyone made the 2 Coreys out to be crazy. Shame. Yep. Blue Jay said, and sadly, with male victims, they are so hell bent on the fact that someone could be gay or bi and not that they assaulted them. Absolutely. Yep. It always does. It always does. Like, even for me, right? Not like anybody's going to hold my dollar, but I was just like, I'm not going to talk about this. We're going to leave this alone. I'm not going to discuss this with the Star family. If they bring it up, I'm not going to say anything. And then I was just like, this is the problem. This is the problem. This is how society is able to operate in such a sick way. So nobody says anything, right? Everybody looks away. We mind our business a little too much. A little too much. Abusers should not feel safe in society. They shouldn't. Terrible people should not feel safe in society. Terrible people should not be in positions of power. Like a few years ago, there was this big time agent in LA, and a story broke about him breaking, I believe, the nose of his assistant. And the only reason why that story came out is because other assistants at this agency were suing for wages that they believed that should have been given to them and wasn't. And it came out that this guy, the most recent thing he did was break his assistant's nose because he was upset about a phone call. And when that broke, all of these other stories about him abusing people came out. He broke another assistant's arm. Like, he was always throwing stuff at the agency. He threw coffee on the secretary. And I'm like, y'all are adults. Everybody sat there and just watched that? That's insane to me. For what? For what opportunity is that good that you would sit there and watch a grown man take a laptop and break it and break the nose of a person sitting next to him because he's upset about a call. And y'all just went about your day at work? That's crazy. And it needs to end. It needs to end. Mackie said, as I watched the video, I was thinking, find the stairs. Yep, scream, knock on doors, something. I hope her husband shows her the patience, the love, compassion, support, and protection Cassie deserves. I think he does. I think he does. I think he absolutely came in and saved her. Because he would remember her husband was Diddy's personal trainer. That's how they met. And he probably was the only person who saw him mistreat her and protected that woman. That's probably how she fell in love with him, because finally there was protection. Finally. Listen, let it all burn. Let it all burn. Let it all burn. Give Me Shelter said, I saw a story about Amanda Bynes, but didn't read it thoroughly. Anyone know what the Amanda Bynes tweets are referring to? I remember back in her early Twitter days, she used to tag that guy from Nickelodeon, some stuff, and everybody just wrote her off as crazy. How people process trauma does not give you, if it's abnormal to you, does not give you an opening to criticize how this person is walking through life. Regardless of what it looks like to you, they're fighting their best to stay on earth in a space and around people where they were not protected. A lot of what we're seeing is these adults who were harmed very young, going back to the one time in their life when they were innocent and they were, and they were protected, I guess, or before the trauma. That's why you always see Britney, in my opinion. That is why you see Britney dancing around in her room all the time, and people make memes of it, like to make fun of her. But I think that she is going back to the one place where she was a child and when she felt safe. And she stays in that moment, because if she comes out of it, I don't think she'll be able to come back. So I think she just goes there. I think she just goes to the dancing or whatever it is. And, the sexual stuff, I think that's because she was sexually exploited as a child. I will never forget that MTV interview where she said she did not want to perform A Slave for You. She thought, she did not like how they had her dressed. She did not like how they had her dancing. She said she was 19 and she felt too young to be doing that. But all the adults around her, her mother and father included, encouraged her to do that. I will never forget that interview, because I was just like, why would her parents do that? I was shocked that her parents would encourage it. And I was also shocked that she felt uncomfortable doing that, when I thought so much of the music that she made before was so sexual. And then I realized she's a kid. She was very young. She did not want to do. I remember being 19 and being very insecure about my body. And, you have this young person, and all the people around her who should be protecting her is encouraging her to do this. That's when I stopped watching the Kardashians. I always talk about the day I clicked out of that show and never returned. When that woman was sitting there watching her child, consoling her child in the bathroom, crying at Playboy because Hugh Hefner said she has to spread her legs open. We want to see her womb. And she had these pearls on her body, and that's all she felt comfortable doing. And her mother wiped her daughter's tears and said, give Hugh Hefner what he wants. And as she continued to lift the pearls, as she opened her legs, the mother said that iconic line that everybody, had made it into a meme and goes, oh, you're doing great, sweetie. But nobody talks about the moment before that iconic moment happened, that mother told her child to spread her legs open for Hugh Hefner. I clicked out of that show with the quickness. I'm not surprised of where this family is. If that is how it was being led, if that is the matriarch, I am not surprised. I am not surprised. And baby, if that youngest ever start talking, Let's move on. Let's move on. Lady 30524 said something important to remember when it comes to abuse is the use of fear, bodily harm, and threats to control the victim and those around them, which is why a lot of times people don't speak up. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes, she was. That was like early Twitter days. Early Twitter days. Um, I was like, what is I ain't never return. I ain't never return. Um Megan, and then we're going to lead into our next subject. Megan said, that's why I don't give Kendrick props for exposing Drake, because he only said something to piss him off, not to liberate alleged victims. That leads us into our next subject, which is King Kendrick. So we all know about the Kendrick and Drake beef, which Questlove, I love you. We graduated from the same high school. Shout out to Kappa. I don't agree with you. This is not the same thing. This is not the same thing. I think Questlove's comments about hip hop being dead and, he doesn't want this beef between Drake and Kendrick to get too far out there, because the last time it happened, we lost Pac and Biggie. Here's why I think it's not the same. One, you were dealing with two very, very young people. Like, I will say, when all that stuff happened, I was so disappointed, because these were like adults that I looked up to. I do not know why I was looking up to these adults as a child, but they controlled the 90s. They controlled the 90s. So, I really loved all of them. I loved Junior Mafia. I'm from Philly. I had a young mom, so I really loved all of them, and I was just so disappointed. It's just like when your favorite camp counselor turns out to be like a terrible person. That's just how it felt. It was like so disappointed with that Biggie and Pac beef. Then I turned 24, and I was like, why in the hell were these young people? Why did they have so much responsibility? They had like the world on their shoulders. I could not believe the stuff that they were responsible for at 24. So I gave a little grace, right? Because they were very young. The men who are a part of this beef, Drake and Aubrey, Drake and Kendrick, they're damn near 40. I don't see them starting a US Canadian war over this. I think what happened was the People's Princess went up against a Pulitzer Prize winning poet and lost, right? Who is not only intelligent, but also performing in his culture, right? So somebody who is not of the culture is not going to be able to get it like someone who is. And it's really difficult being Black American, because so much of our culture has become popularized. And when it becomes popularized, it loses its importance, right? And it loses the originators, right? And especially with us being brought to America as enslaved cattle, not even considered human, there's no respect for us in anything that we create or contribute to society in any kind of way. So you can have somebody like Drake come in and change his dialect to African American vernacular, and nobody bats an eye, because everybody does it. If you want to be cool, you have to mimic being a Black American. And there's no regard for the people, or if it's disrespectful to the people, because there's no respect for Black Americans globally, right? And then you have the second side of that coin, where you have Black American capitalists who sell out their community to the highest bidder. So you have Black men and women who will open the doors to these kind of people because they are getting financial compensation. So it's like, okay, you want us to respect you, but then people in your community are okaying this behavior. So you have people like this, culture vultures or whatever, who are able to just navigate within our community, make money off of it, but still piss on us, right? I remember that big thing with Burna Boy. I didn't think that he was saying that we didn't have culture, but people felt some sort of way, and they were just like, your biggest hits are with African American music producers, African American singers. So you're saying that African Americans have no culture is completely disrespectful, but nothing happens, right? Because nobody respects Black Americans. So although I don't think he meant it that way, he can still say it and be fine because there is no respect to the culture. That's why we get something that becomes a chant within my community, which is they not like us, right? And that leads me to, and don't worry, the last commenter, we're gonna bring it all back to that. That leads me to this article from Black Enterprise, which says Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us breaks streaming records, passes Cardi B and Taylor Swift. The feud between Drake and Kendrick Lamar is fueling heated discussions among hip hop fans and setting records. Lamar's last entry in the verbal sparring, Not Like Us, has broken streaming records previously held by Cardi B. And this article is by Cedric Big Said Thornton. Not Like Us debuted on the Billboard 100 at number 1 with 70.9 million official streams, 5 million radio airplay audience impressions, and 15,000 sold in the US over 5 days. It is now the most streamed song in a 7-day period, garnering more than 96 million streams, surpassing Fortnite by Taylor Swift and Post Malone, which was released earlier this year. It has also surpassed Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion's WAP, which initially held the record when it debuted in 2020. According to Forbes, Lamar's Euphoria went from number 11 the previous week to number 3 in the current week Hot 100. The song garnered 49 million streams, up from 28.9 million. The song that sparked the current beef, Like That, the Metro Boomin and Future single featuring Lamar, rose to number 8, then to number 6 after being number 1 for 3 weeks. And this is just off of one beef. He's breaking his own records. He is breaking his own records because somebody who is not a part of the culture decided to call this man out. And apparently these two, Kendrick and Drake, have been beefing for years. Like, people are like going back and looking at older songs and seeing these two coming at each other. But I think Kendrick Lamar is where he's at, like I said, not because he's just intelligent, but also because he is a part of this culture. And that is the beauty of my culture. You can't recreate it, right? You can mimic it, but you can't recreate it. And we have here a clear distinction of that, because we have somebody like Drake who has been very successful, right? Cosplaying Black Americans, right? Using Black American culture to get to where he wants to be. That's why They Not Like Us is so powerful, because Kendrick takes us through all of his cultural appropriation and also his abuse. And that leads me to the last commenter, who was just like, he's not getting a pass from me because he's throwing this out during a diss. And that is what is an issue in hip hop. And that's why I believe that when the Me Too movement hits hip hop, it's going to be scary and highly disappointing. There are men whose bops, men and women whose songs that you listen to, you are going to be extremely disappointed, because that's what happens with the entertainment industry as a whole, or any powerful industry as a whole. The worst are protected, and a lot of times the only time that we hear things is when there's a fallout, right? I believe, well, I was going to talk about one moment, but I'll just talk about it blatantly. Every person, every successful white person who has been canceled due to being racist, right? It has always come from somebody another white person who they're in close proximity with, who has been holding on to these things, never had an issue with the stuff that was being said or done until fellow white person pissed them off. And then they said all of these things. So it's always somebody you're close to or in community with who says something to the greater a community of us who they know will have a problem with it because that is not okay. But in that space, it's welcomed. And that space, it's overlooked. And that space, it's protected. But they know the people who pay your bills probably do not feel that way, or probably won't support someone who thinks or feels that way. So then they expose it. So he absolutely gets accolades from me for, I believe, trying to at least start gatekeeping Black American culture, especially this art form that is a multi-billion-dollar art form, and we make no money from it, and we get no respect from it. I think the Black Americans who do make money don't make what they should be making, because the people who hold the weight are not us. They not like us. They're not like us. So he does get that from me. But in that instance, throwing out women and children who have been harmed by that man because you are upset with him, you don't get accolades from me in that, because I feel like the minute you heard about it, you should have said something. Now, was it fair? Was it, elders in the community telling you not to say anything? That could probably be it. But you still have to take responsibility for, people saying, yeah, Kendrick, that we can't rock with you on that, because if you knew that he was doing that, you should have said something. Like I said before, like, these people should not be protected. The ones that sit and watch should not be protected. It does not take away from the records that he is breaking. It does not take away from his Pulitzer Prize. It does not take away from his talent, and it does not take away from what I believe that he is doing for our community. However, as a woman, it's always disappointing how we are thrown away, how our children are thrown away, how the queer community within the Black community is thrown away. And those are the communities, if we're keeping it buck, that keeps our culture going, that protects our culture, that fights for our culture, that makes our culture what it is today. And it's unfortunate. It really is. King Kendrick, do better. That's all I have to say. What do you guys have to say? Let's get into it. I was like, did I get this, Sebastian? No, but Sebastian gave me another super chat. So I want to thank you for that, Sebastian. Sebastian said, nothing enrages me more than people using the word crazy or everyone knew in regards to victims and abuse. Absolutely. Thank you so much for the super chat. I also want to say about that, I feel like with victims, the people who are acting like they are protecting them are not doing that, in my opinion. Specifically, Millie Bobby Brown. I won't say if she is a victim. I will not say that, right? But there are a lot of people who are now, like, going through her, like, Facebook and Instagram from when she was a lot younger than she is now, and making connections between her and Drake for engagement, in my opinion. It's just like, you're not trying to protect her, because if you were, you would not be putting this on the internet. Because like a lot of women, if she's starting to notice and recognize some things, that's a really traumatic experience. It's a really traumatic experience, because every woman has that moment where she looks back at a situation and she realizes something that she didn't think happened, specifically in context with dealing with a man or an older man, right? Every woman has that moment, and that this young lady is having that moment while the world is trying to find tea on someone who has possibly done something to harm her, allegedly. You're not helping. You're not helping. You are not helping. Me too. Me too. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm telling you, there's two songs that I listen to all day. They Not Like Us and Hands to Heaven. Hands to Heaven. Let me tell you something. They Not Like Us, the fan fodder for this song is going to die down. And then we're going to hit Juneteenth. And it's over. when Juneteenth drops, they not like us is probably going to get 1 billion streams that day. Momi says, so true. The envy of Black Americans, but no respect. And because many Black Americans are bred to have a very individualistic and every man for himself mentality, a lot of us quickly sell out. Absolutely. But you know, the frustration that I have, I also give grace because for colonized people, for people who came to this nation as cattle, we're doing pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Came here as cattle, 400 years, 500 years of slavery, Jim Crow, and we're here. We're doing pretty damn good, but we're still not okay. And I think my people need to admit that. We're not okay. Like, that has taken a toll on us. We're not okay. We're doing pretty damn good, but we're not okay. Sasha says Burna Boy was using a particular African rhetoric. Okay. He was insulting all of us, not only Black Americans, but also using Africans born outside. Oh, you know what? That's a really interesting conversation because I feel like with I won't say first gen because I feel like a lot of you guys are like second gen, but like specifically with first gen, there's a disdain because that they have with Black Americans because, you know, you were raised in a household by Black people, but Black people who are immigrants, right? Black Americans and Native Americans, we're the only people who are not immigrants to this land, right? Native Americans, natives. Black Americans, forced here. Like we are not native and we ain't want to be here. So we have a very different relationship with this nation. But I feel like with Black immigrants, when they come here, it's like this is the land of milk and honey. So they have like a love for America that Black Americans do not have. And with that, what you believe of us outside of where you come from, you come here and it's just like this clash of culture, and it just doesn't quite work, right? But then if you go home, you're automatically assumed to be like me, who you were raised to believe is less than and a problem in the United States of America. So that's so interesting because I've seen a couple conversations about that. And I'm like, oh, so they call you the Americans? You're the Americans there? How does it feel? How does it feel to be me? Like, do you now get it? Or is there still like disdain, even though, you know what America is like now? You grew up here, you get it, and you go back home and they're looking at you a certain way. And you're just like, you have no idea what it's like. That's a really interesting conversation. I don't think I'm the one that should have it because I don't know nothing about it, but I've seen conversations and I'm just like, oh, so you're considered American. So when they talk about us, are they talking about you as well? Very interesting. Sasha says Drake hasn't only cosplayed Black American, he's been cosplaying Jamaicans, UK Black Nigerians. That's what Kendrick did, unify all against Drake. Absolutely, because if we want to talk about a plant, that's a plant. That's a plant. There are so many industries connected to him being successful because they finally got what they needed, right? And when I mean they, I'm talking about the music industry. And the music industry is controlled by white people and white people who have white supremacists, thinking their worst fear is the cultures the communities that they oppress getting any power because they think that we are like them, right? The oppressed communities are like them, and that when they get in a position of power, they'll do to them what has been, we will do to them what has been done to us. But to that I say, we're humane. We won't do it. But anyway, so with that, they get somebody like a Drake, right? Somebody who is not Black American, disdains anything Black American and anything from a marginalized community, because there are earlier interviews of him and the way that he talks about lower class people, about Black American culture. It's just like, who is this Chad, right? So you get somebody like that who has no connection, right? Does not want no connection to the culture and doesn't want connection to the culture, but only wants to exploit it, right? You don't have to worry about him being with not only a Black American woman, but a Black woman of any culture who has a mind and a heart for the community, any Black community, right? Because he is not of that and does not want to be of that, but he wants to make money from that. That is how the oppressor thinks about Black Americans, right? Or any marginalized community. So when you have somebody like that, it's a lot easier for companies to attach themselves to him because they know that he will not be problematic towards them, right? And because when you think of who are the rebels of this nation, Black Americans are the first ones, right? Because you immediately go to the civil rights movement and how it was the ripple effect throughout the globe, right? The people who came here as cattle and demanded to be treated as a human being still want to fight for it, but at least we're not in physical chains. So when you have somebody like that, it's so easy to work with them because they will be whatever you need them to be. And then you can push this image to white communities. Because if you think about hip hop, the greatest consumer of hip hop is young white people. You don't want a Tupac, a rapper like Tupac speaking to white kids, because if those white kids have any kind of education and any understanding of what is going on in the world, then there in America specifically, then there will be change. And you can't change the hands of power. So you get a Drake, you get him to say whatever, do whatever, and you attach your brand to him because he's not problematic and he can make you loads of money, and those white parents will feel comfortable with a Drake being played in their home. They're not going to be comfortable with that Black kid talking about police brutality, but they're going to be comfortable with that kid with a white mom. And we talked about this. The women are the influence in any culture. So they know the influence that kid was raised under, that mixed child was raised under, and they understand who is pushing him. So they feel safe with him. He's a safe Black, if we're going to put it in that way. So he's a plant. He's absolutely a plant. And I think all of the people, Black people in the industry, was just sick of it because he was moving in a certain way that they couldn't move. He was getting deals that they could not get, not only because he was a plant, but because he was somebody that white people felt comfortable with. And so all of a sudden, all these men got beef with him. They don't got beef with the alleged pedophilia. They don't have beef with the alleged abuse of Black women, but they have beef with him making money that they cannot make. If you have a problem with him making money that you cannot make, then you shouldn't have opened the door to him. Colonizer going to colonize. That's why you need to stop inviting them to the damn cookout. Because now we can't play Frankie Beverly no more. We got to play Post Malone. Love by You said Drake has much more alarming patterns in his life than Kendrick. Yeah, Kendrick's a middle-class Black kid from Compton. We're going to talk about that in another live. But yeah, because I still haven't heard the full speech, but that was a white supremacist dog whistle. Problems Never End said Casey Kicker, misogynistic speech giver, Harrison Bucker has a business that ties back to Leonardo Leo, Josh Hawley, Project 2025, and the Seven Mountain Mandate. His words are exactly who he is and what they want. Absolutely. However, I don't know if the tea on him, it may outweigh the work that they want him to do. Yes, that's why I'm like, leave her alone. Leave her out of this. If she didn't think something before, she's probably putting two and two together. Leave that child out of this. My God, HBCU band season. Yes. And then that's going to die down. And then guess what? Black History Month. Oh my gosh. They just, TMZ just got a picture of them together. I think they're all together. I think they're still together. I think they're still together. Love by You said, I'm Nigerian and I'm first gen, and there's this narrative that because they view Black Americans as having a lack of culture, but they quick to assimilate, in my opinion, everybody's Black at the end of the day. I know that's right. I know that's right. It's also so confusing, right? It's also so confusing, Kayla. Kayla said the diaspora wars are so interesting because how did the capturers and colonizers get us fighting each other? If we're going to tell what the reality is, money. Money. That's all it is. It's money, right? So it's a lot of the fight of who is more popular, who has greater access, because popularity and access means money, and you want to aspire to be the one that has the coin. It all goes back to money. So it's just like, oh, you don't have this and you don't have that and you don't have this and you don't have that. It's all just taking digs to cut somebody down because you want to be seen as the one on top. It's capitalism. I'm telling you, capitalism will be the end of the Black community globally. Globally. Giving Shots said America funnels a lot of anti-Black American propaganda to the continent of Africa. My father came here in the early 70s and he said that the whites warned him about African American people. I absolutely believe that. I hate when I do this. If you know of this story, please, divulge in the comments. But I'm thinking of it and I just want to just get it out there. Didn't research it before I got on here because I didn't know that I was going to talk about it. But I think in the 50s or 60s, there were Black Americans who were going to Ethiopia to help them fight. I don't know what they were fighting. With the swiftness, there was a law banning Black Americans going there to help them fight. And it was a really big deal because we saw people who we thought were our people suffering, and we wanted to help. And America quickly banned, because guys, we always talk about this. I always tell you, America's never getting rid of us. America's never getting rid of us. We're their greatest export and import. They're never getting rid of us. Now they're going to keep our numbers small, but they know what they have. And they ain't never letting this go. I'm telling you right now, there could be somebody in Ghana right now saying, "Oh, I've heard the stories. Black Americans come home, Black Americans come home." If we start going to Africa in droves, oh, America's taking everybody out and recapturing us and bringing us back. Them demons will never let us go. Never let us go, because again, one oppressed community linking up with another oppressed community? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's why, the whole separation with Asian and Asian Americans and Black Americans, we grew up in the same area, right? There will be eternal beef because Asian Americans were able to get businesses in our communities that we were not able to get. They were able to get loans and they were able to put businesses in our areas. And the only reason why they were able to do that, because white people said, you're not putting them in our neighborhoods. We will give you loans for the Black American neighborhoods, but not these neighborhoods. And that created the divide, because it was a financial divide between communities. So that's where this hierarchy comes from now. And that's why, unless that is properly addressed, Black Americans and Asian Americans, it ain't never gonna work. Carmen said, I've been saying this stuff about Drake since 2009, but because he was tied to Wayne, people ignored me. Yeah. Hello, how do we get Iggy Azalea? A Black man. A Black man respected in the hip hop industry opened the door. A Black capitalist. How do we get Eminem? Listen, he's good at what he does. He's good at what he does, but we know exactly why the door was opened for him. Exactly why they call him the rap god. Who? Yes, very true, but he was not in his life. Dad didn't come around till he was making money. Love by You said, connecting this to what you were saying, Nikki, did you know how sick to my stomach I felt when I saw the photo of all the NFL team owners and it was all old white men controlling teams of Black men? Yes. They will never let anybody non-white own a team. You know how many times like Black billionaires have came together to try to buy a basketball team or a football team or even start a basketball team or football team and were denied? It'll never happen. It'll never happen. I'm just like, you can trust Black capitalists, but they'll never let it happen. um, Two more, and then we're gonna move on. Mommy said the same is the case for Asian immigrants. They're also, told to stay clear of Black Americans. Also, the main information that any person from any other country has about us isn't told by us. Absolutely. But this is the thing I say: after you come here and you live amongst people and you still hold those sentiments, it's a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice. You're choosing ignorance now. You're just choosing it. Oh, I love that, Sasha. Sasha said, I wouldn't say all the continents, because in countries like Guinea, Sakutore, hey, was very pro-Black American. I love that. I had no idea. How about Brazil? Is Brazil pro-Black American? I so want to go. I got this crazy idea to like retire in Brazil. I don't know why. It's calling me. It's calling me. It'll never happen. To throw the gay community in there, ciao. But it'll never happen. It'll never happen. I promise you. I promise you. Come back to this video if it happens. If all marginalized communities that were oppressed under white supremacy all link up, and when I say white supremacy, I mean the rich. Let's keep it buck. If we all link up, I'm telling you, we're going to get crack and AIDS 2.0. Oh, baby, we're going to get something to wipe us out completely. It happens every time. It happens every time. To this day, I could not find that interview, but I talk about it all the time. The creator of The Wire, he was doing an interview and he was talking about how this show was inspired by what he saw growing up, because he was just like, he saw the Black love, Black power movement really taking over the globe. And then he said, like clockwork, out of nowhere, the crack epidemic. And it took the wind out of the Black power movement that was happening in America. And he was just like, it was not by coincidence. And he even said that that's what he believed. That's why you got the crack epidemic. That's why you got the AIDS epidemic, because there was so much movement. There was so much movement for gay rights. There was so much movement for Black rights and marginalized community rights. And when those two things happened, all of that was taken away. The wind was taken out of both movements' sails and never really recovered, if we're keeping a buck. Because now we have this thing called capitalism. Now all these marginalized communities don't want to be free. They want to be rich. Ciao. Well, this is the thing. The Haitian Empress says, but Black men are okay and continue to play in the NFL for these old white men. Since they provide all the labor, why not build their own league? Let's keep it buck. The majority of them are not highly educated and they come from marginalized communities. The parents and the schools and the coaches see the talent of these young people, and they create a community around them that treat them like kings. Everybody does their work for them. People are paid to pass them through school. So then you have this Black multimillionaire sitting in front of you who can't read his contract. Like, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. It happens all the time. These are not the men that can lead a movement, if we're just being very honest with you. And then by the time that they come to any realization, the CTE is taking them out. They got all kinds of mental and body issues. Now, the NBA, baseball, it's a different ball game. But the NFL, I wouldn't put it on them. Absolutely. Do y'all see the trainings? Your mind will be blown if you ever have seen like an NFL training session in front of like owners and coaches. Plantation. They have like tools measuring their necks. It's crazy. It will blow your mind. Blow your mind. They're not letting us go. They're not letting y'all come take us. It's not happening. It's not happening. I just feel like for some reason it's calling me. Brazil and Mexico. For some reason, I don't know. I don't know. Give me shelter that Brazil is worse. Oh, than America with racism. Natives don't have access to education. It's still illegal to educate. Oh, goodness. I'll say in my own oppressed land. Damn it. Damn it. Yes. And you know, we're pro Haiti over here. It's always so upsetting. But listen, I feel like it's also a very online conversation. And I don't think it's a majority of us, but it's always the minority that's so damn loud, unfortunately. Unfortunately. I'm gonna end with Sasha, and then we're gonna move on to. You know what? I'm gonna end with another one. We're gonna talk Sasha, then we're gonna end with another one because it's gonna be a great segue. Sasha said, "Yes, that's why Stokely Carmichael and other civil rights movement figures came to Guinea in Algeria." Oh, I did not know that. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for that information. I had no idea. IA said there have been many comparisons between the NFL and the slave trade. Oh, absolutely. The physicals for new players coming into NFL are very similar to the way slave owners would check over slaves. Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of slavery, let's talk about Shannon Sharpe. I'm joking, Shannon. I'm joking. So recently, Shannon Sharpe has been in the he had so much grace and popularity with Cat Williams, and I feel like he just like threw it away. And here's why. We talked about this with the Cat Williams interview. I was just like, I would never step into a profession that I know nothing about and try to do the job of a professional if I don't have the training. Now, I will say this: he has worked as ESPN as a commentator, but a commentator is very different from being a journalist, right? He has hosting experience, but hosting is very different from being an interviewer. These are very different, and I think for some reason within like the last 5 years, like these jobs have been like mushed up, and people think that they can do these jobs, not realizing they're all extremely different and have and serve different purposes. And I knew he was going to get tripped up. I knew he was going to get tripped up because he is talking about subjects and bringing on people who are literally eating him up. It's just like he's just not prepared, and it's showing that he does not yet. He could probably have it later on, but at this point, have the skill set to really hold these interviews and have this conversation, specifically with Amanda Seales. His interview with her, he was very jokey in the interview. And I think he was very jokey because he didn't understand the context of her answers to his questions or the meaning. And I just don't think I just don't think he was at the place that he needed to be to have the conversations with her. And he was also very under researched because within that interview, we got this moment right here.
Wait, your mom is white.
My mother is not white.
Is your
Why
mom?
do people keep saying my mother is white?
She's West Indian, so
she is a black woman from Grenada, which is a black island.
She married a white man.
No, she did
not. Right? Like, how do you have somebody on your show and you have these questions for this person and you don't even know the answer? So I think that in my opinion, I felt like he should have just kept it with sports, because now you're going into areas that you're just not well versed in, and you're going to continue to have these kind of mix-ups. Because recently he had Gary Owens on his podcast. And Gary Owens is a white comedian who has been able to make his space into Black spaces, specifically Black American spaces, one of the easiest spaces to come in and colonize, because unfortunately my people do not gatekeep. So he was able to come in and, get Black women. This is our fault. He was able to come in by way of Black women, by dating Black women. And a lot of his comedic sets were about how much he likes Black women and a lot of weird Black and American sweet of the juice jokes. And then he got married to a Black woman, and then it became about his Black wife. All of his jokes were about his Black wife and his Black kids, and the Black community felt safe because the women embraced him and the men embraced him, because our men love white men because of their power. So he was just able to come in with mediocre joke telling skills and really make a life for himself, a really successful life for himself financially. But he has never been able to cross over in white spaces because he was fully accepted into the Black community. So he has been in the news lately because of how he is now mistreating his Black wife, who he cheated on, and she exposed him, and his kids don't want to rock with him because he's just been a terrible dad. So in this interview, he is talking about how much of a terrible father he was, and then we get into topics that you can and cannot talk about as somebody in the entertainment industry, and it leads us to this viral moment here with him and Shannon Sharpe.
Oh, he can't be canceled.
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais, he cannot be canceled. Andrew Schultz cannot be canceled. I would think Shane Gillis right now, can't be canceled. Kevin can. Kevin's very corporate.
Right.
Kevin has to be careful what he says.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. Like someone like Kat and Chappelle, they don't have these corporate deals.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin's got to be careful. And I'm sure there's some things he wants to say.
Right.
But he ain't trying to mess up that check.
I don't
Just like you. You don't defend Black women. You know what I mean? There's a lot. I'm sure like Wrangler's about to call you. John Deere.
I need some water on this one, man.
Yeah.
There you go. See, I should have never opened that can of worms, because I know
Don't, Shannon.
So the thing that took me out with this was I was very aware that this was a dig at Amanda Seales, because with having access into Black spaces and being a colonizer, Gary also feels comfortable to critique Black women only. He won't mess up and talk about Black men, right? Because of how our community protects Black men, but he knows that our community does not protect Black women or Black children. So he knew who to speak of, because he's been coming at Monique for a very, very long time. Just Black women in his comedic community in general, right? So I knew that comment was a dig at Amanda Seales and how she spoke about how she felt about how Shannon treated her and handled her during that interview. So it was obviously a dig at Amanda Seales, but it was also a declaration of how he sees Shannon, and Shannon was too busy to realize that he was not only taking a dig at Amanda, but he was also taking a dig at him. And not only did he take that dig, he doubled down. And I don't think that Shannon knew how embarrassing it was to sit there and watch a Black man be told by a white man that he does not protect Black women, and then doubles down and say, you don't, while you sit there and giggle. And your entire production laughed at that comment as well. And I think the saddest part about that is that because it's true, that's why everybody laughed, because it's true. This is not the time to bring up his Black children, right? This is not the time, because you are going to protect people that you love. We are talking about being a part of a community that has constantly and consistently been oppressed and will not and would not have existed had it not been for the women coming in and picking up the rear and picking up the weight of the community when our men were taken from our homes. Shout out to Bill Clinton and Joe Biden. Thank you for being tough on crime and destroying the Black family. So that's where the masculinization of Black women not necessarily comes from, but it's a part of that, because Black women had to take on both roles within the home. And it wasn't because relationships were bad, it's because our men were either being sent to war or our men were being incarcerated, heavily incarcerated on petty crimes. So that's what the masculinization of Black women has become very popularized, because with that, we had to get jobs and we had to get an education to get those jobs, because when you're a part of a marginalized community in America, the line is always moving. So you get a job, but you can't keep the job because you don't have the education. So you got to go to school to get the education to keep the job. Then you're able to keep the job, but you're not getting paid as much as your male or white counterparts because you are Black, right? So that's why a lot of times within my community, the women are out earning and out learning the men. And it wasn't because it was something that we wanted to do. We had to do because they were not there. So we had to save and preserve our community, all for you to get popular from the views, from the shares, from the likes and the clicks of Black women. Because before, nobody was really checking for you like that. You were doing sports stuff. So it was like a lot of sports stuff going on, and you weren't really getting popularized. Then Black women got engaged because of the celebrity interviews, Black celebrities interviews that you were doing, all for you to then later sit on your couch and when somebody told you that you do not protect them. I don't think people realize that Black women have a huge influence financially within the globe, right? In America alone, Black Americans spend, I believe, 8 trillion? Trillion or billion, one of them. It's a lot of money a year, right? Who's making those financial decisions? Black women. But because of just the disrespect that we continue to receive, and because we are also seen as like some sort of mammy, nobody really takes our financial power seriously, right? Or our cultural power seriously. I feel like there are so many communities, the men in our community alone, but every community after that will rue the day that Black women take back their support. You will fall apart the minute we take back our support. I will say, watching this interview, it was completely, I wasn't a fan of him. My mom watched him. That's how I knew, because my mom would watch him and that white man that screamed at him. She would watch that show all the time. So that's how I knew of him. I didn't know about him from sports. I'm not really into sports ball like that, unless it's the Eagles or the 76ers. Gotta love them, Philly. So I didn't really know about him like that. I really came to know him from, to be honest with you, the Cat Williams interview. That's when I knew about his like interview skills. And I was like, wow, the things money can buy, because this is just not, his skills, in my opinion, are just not at the space to be holding such interviews. Cat ran circles around him. He didn't understand half of what was going on. But one thing I do know for certain is that Black women are in those comments. Black women are those subscribers. Now the pick-me's might stay around, but as for me and my like and subscription, I'm out. That cut. I didn't need to know that. And you people are not smart. You people are not smart. Never let your supporters know how much you hate them. Influencer 101. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about him. What do you guys have to say? Let's get into it. Oh, what in with Mary? Okay. Oh my God. What the hell was so funny? And he looked at him, he said, and you don't, right? And you don't. And that was another thing about that. That white man literally listed all of these Black men who cannot say anything about protecting or uplifting their community because of money. And he felt so comfortable doing it. And he sat there and looked that man in the face and said, you will not do it because of money, because the moment you start to protect Black women, you lose money. And what did Shannon do? Yeah. Wow. What in the step and fetch it is going on? Embarrassing. Ew, brother. Ew. Embarrassing. IA said Gary Owens has always been whack. Andrew Schultz is another one who comes for Black women. Again, he was able to do that because Charlemagne, they have a podcast or whatever. He protects him and he opens up the space to him to disrespect Black women. He will always feel safe and supported as long as he comes after Black women. And the minute he says something about Black men, he's done. But the Black men that love and support him, them red pill Negroes, they eat that up because he's talking about women that they can't get. So instead of washing their balls, they just get angry at us and sit on Reddit and talk about murdering us, or then listen to non-Black people who hate us. It's crazy. Never pretended, and everybody in that studio laughed. So I'm like, oh, so it's true, and y'all all know it. Okay. Sasha said Shannon is a rep for the podcast bros, always ready to hop on the mic with Twitter talking points. Do not research, cackling majority of the time, and lead conversations with zero substance, because it is a problem, I think, within every community, that because a human being has a penis, all of a sudden their opinion is Bible. And because of that, there are so many idiotic men who are speaking never checked. And because they're never checked, and because there's no opposition to the stupidity that is coming out of their mouths, they think that they are saying something that is so right and so prominent and so powerful. And it's just like, no, you're an idiot, but you know, if we say anything, you might kill us. So we're going to shut up. And I'm like, oh my God, things have got to change. Who's the other one? Who's the other powerful Black man on ESPN? To his face. Not only him, Kevin Hart. He called him one too. He said he can't say nothing. He can't say nothing because he'll lose everything. Can't say nothing about his people because he'll lose everything. And felt so comfortable doing it. Whoo! Oh yeah, is that who you're talking about? He is definitely a corporate shill. Definitely, he did an unnatural allegiance to losers. OMG. We have had that conversation. And I told you I was disappointed to see some of y'all on Funky Dineva's comments, but I didn't say anything because I was subscribed to. OMG. Brittany said, Earth is so exhausting. I've never been so tired by the state of our society and humanity as a whole. Send me to Saturn. Treat women and children with respect and protect them. Love the Black woman. Absolutely. But I think I think there's going to be change. Hopefully. Mademoiselle said Black people need their reparations to build their own things, supermarkets, gas stations, and other things that are essential. Black people need to stop putting the money back into, I guess the W means white hands. This is the thing. We've done that before, guys. It always, we get blown up. Suddenly, leaders start dying. Like, there's a consistent effort, this nation alone, against the progression of Black Americans. Black people in general, right? Immigrants, the gay community, any marginalized community, there is always an effort to make sure it doesn't happen. Like, our communities were constantly terrorized, constantly bombed. The last that we know of, I would go as far to say, well, that people will agree on is MOVE. I believe it was in 1981 and 1983 in Philly, where Mayor Good, a black mayor, gave the okay to bomb a black neighborhood, West Philadelphia, and killed several MOVE members. One of their bodies, one of the young lady who was murdered in that bombing, her body is still in a museum in Philadelphia, and her mother and father are doing everything to retrieve their child's body. Welcome to America, right? But I would go so far to say, as Ferguson was the last neighborhood that was destroyed, black neighborhood that was destroyed. They burned Ferguson down. Down. But MOVE is the one that was bombed. So we've tried. We continue to try. The comeback is always a little harder than the pushback. And you could even see what happened after the Black Lives Matter movement that happened in 2020 because of the death of George Floyd, because of the murder of George Floyd. Everything that was put into place is now been removed. And even then some, right? So all the diversity initiatives that were put in have all been removed. And the diversity initiatives before 2020 have all been removed. They always come back harder. They always come back harder. And it's really difficult to rebuild when you are constantly the only community fighting this way, fighting with so much fervor. I won't say that marginalized communities are not fighting as well, but my God, today, y'all can tap in and help our Black Americans or join us. This is tiring. This is very, very tiring. Micah says, Shannon Simple Mind didn't realize that Gary called him out while making a joke about it. That's what I was saying. I don't want to call him stupid, right? I just will say he just doesn't pick up on certain things. And I think that's what happens when your mind has just been about sports and you haven't really had to have, important cultural conversations because your whole conversation has been about the field. And I don't want to say shut up and just talk about football, but I feel like that's his expertise. And I think he's stepping into areas that he is just not well versed in. And he can step into them, just be well versed. If not, we're going to constantly get moments like this. Yes, absolutely. Vicky said, let's be real. People are not watching for shucking and jiving Shay. They want the guests who speak in an unfiltered manner. Most of them involve reading Shannon to his face. Always tap dancing. Yep. Very short-lived. Hey, Toya Star, thank you so much. Toya Star said, hey, Star families, thank you for supporting Nikki'Star TV. We love you. Thank you so much, Toya Star. I'm going to get two more, and then we're going to move on to Mary in her boots. IA says, the Breakfast Club is just as bad. Charlamagne and Emmy lack skills needed to interview the guests. It's evidence that Ye did all the research. Just a perfection is a perfect addition to the show. Absolutely. Who knew she was the glue? Who knew she was the glue that kept that ship together? Miss Brown Chicken said, anti-Blackness is woven into the fabric of America. Absolutely. It's in laws, it's in walls, it's in the culture, it's passed on like genetics. We know this and then decide to live free despite this. Absolutely. Kayla said, I feel like every generation gives their attempt at Black unity and we keep trying because when has characters splitting up in a scary movie ever worked out for them? We do. Listen, we are the descendants of the Montgomery bus boycott generation. We got this. We just got to get it together. Lord, it's some work. I just feel like I will say with millennials, I won't even bring Gen X into it. Gen X just doesn't come outside collectively. They are not coming outside. You are not getting Gen X to come outside. Gen X is locked in their house, upstairs, in their house robe, looking out the blinds. They're not coming out, right? So it's up to millennials. It's up to millennials. I just feel like, to be honest with you, my generation, we just don't want to die. Like, every time there's a Black movement, a lot of us have to die. And we're just like, oh my gosh. Can we just make it without an assassination? Yikes. Going in with Vicky DC. Vicky DC says these same black dudes let these culture vultures in the community in the first place and are always whining and crying later on when the vultures pick at them and ascend above their stature. Step and fetch it. Step and fetch it. It is the same thing. Step and fetch it was a black minstrel performer back in, I believe, the 1940s, and he made a lot of money playing minstrel characters of Black Americans. I think one of his characters was Watermelon Man, and he would sit in movies and say, "Oh, master, I want watermelon. Please come give me some watermelon." And he made a lot of money. He made a lot of money, lived in great mansions across America, had his pick up the litter of white women, and made a lot of money. And then the money ran out. The job stopped coming, and he died broke, lonely, and poor. Very, very poor. And when it got to the point where he couldn't make any more money, he was begging the black community, you know, to help him out, put him in stuff, recommend stuff. But he had become such a stain to the black community that's back when the black community was banishing men. I don't know what happened, but we had some standards back then, and they would not, you know, he did not have a community to come back to. And it was because of the depictions that he willingly did of Black Americans at that time. Died lonely, broke, and a minstrel. It doesn't happen anymore. I think we should bring that back. Let's move on to Mary J. Blige and her boot collection. So the Black natural blonde herself, Mary J. Blige, has come up with a new shoe with Giuseppe. Oh, do I have the picture here? Giuseppe. I'm just going to say Giuseppe because I'm going to butcher that last name. But she has a new boot collection out. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I was one of the people, I didn't say anything. I talked to my sister about it. She's a huge Mary J. Blige fan. I thought that the boots were a little expensive. Here is why, right? I'm not saying it's expensive for Mary J. Blige. I'm just like, a lot of Mary's fan base is like working class Black people, right? And I never understand people who have a middle class or working class fan base coming out with a collab that is extremely expensive. Because I'm just like, is it something that you want to last, or is it just a one-off thing? Like, who is this for? Because making a boot, I believe this boot holds on. It's called the Mary boot. It is. Oh, what happened? I want to select my size. They said notify me. I believe the boot, they don't have the price here because the boot is sold out. But I believe the last time I looked at the boot was like $1,300. And I was like, $1,300 and it's not leather? I was just like, Mary, do you want us to get the boot? And maybe it's because I wanted to get the Mary boot and I just, you know, can't afford to drop that on a boot. So I maybe I felt a certain way, but I was just like, I think that this is a little price. It just doesn't make sense to me, right? But then I realized that Mary J. Blige has been rich for a very long time. She started to accumulate a lot of wealth at like 24, right? Even earlier before then. So she is, although she grew up working class, the majority of her adult life, she lived as like a 1%er. So this makes so much sense to collab with Giuseppe and create her own boot called the Mary boot. And there's a great explanation of this on the website where it says, while I'm talking about the boot, let me bring it up. On Giuseppe's website, it says, born from the collaboration between iconic Italian designer Giuseppe Zanotti and the multi-hyphenated award-winning artist Mary J. Blige, the Mary boot encapsulates the unique and celebrated style of both talent, Statement boots have long been associated as a signature of Mary's style, and through this collaboration, using striking, innovative design, fine materials, and attention to detail, the two have come together to make the must-have style of the season. Discover the look inspired by custom boots worn by the singer for her Strength of a Woman festival and summit. It is reflective rose gold and synthetic Nikki fabric, and it was made in Italy. Now listen, I know that Giuseppe is expensive, right? And I found that out from Lil' Kim. I get it, but I'm just over $1,000 and this reflective material. And I honestly also feel like I've seen this boot before. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the boot. Okay. Hopefully it's going to go on sale, or maybe I could buy it off a Poshmark for $50. Then I'll be able to get the boot. But I feel like I've seen this boot at like Shopakera, right? I feel like Fashion Nova already has this boot. I also feel like Shein is probably going to make the boot in like 2 days. And that's the problem. That's the problem. Cute knockoffs, right? But if we're just going to keep it buck, this is her. We all are thinking Mary's community is working class people. Mary's community is millionaires and billionaires, right? Her entire adult life, she was wealthy. So for me, I'm like, oh, my working class Nikki is like, Mary, just lower the price. But Mary is like, for who? My community is rich people. This makes sense. And again, she's not like, she didn't make a boot with Shoe Dazzle. She made a boot with Giuseppe. So like when I think about it, it absolutely makes sense. But like, I'm being very honest with you. My first thought was like, $1,300 for a reflective boot? Well made though. It looks great. But I feel like it's not anything new. It's not anything that we haven't seen before. I feel like it's something that we've already seen a lot cheaper. And I'm just talking on like a business perspective, not like me being like, oh, Mary J. Blige, you need to do this. We've been saying that she needs to do a boot collection. I don't know why it took this long, but maybe she just doesn't feel like it. But I'm just like, I feel like you just need to come out with your own boot. I don't know why she's doing a collab. Maybe she's doing a collab to see how it will work. But I think she already has the fan base lined up to buy the boot, because even this Giuseppe boot is sold out. Now, and saying that, how many units were sold though, right? Like how many were available? Because a lot of companies pull that, right? Where it's like, this is the boot is live, or the item is live or whatever. Oh, it's sold out. Well, you only had 10 anyway. They do that a lot to make like a fan fodder over an item. But I'm just like, this would have sold out anyway because it's Mary J. Blige. So I don't know. I don't know if they didn't have a lot of units or they did have a lot of units and it sold out. But if you go to the site and if you want the boot, you can hit notify me and they'll let you know when the boot in your size becomes available. If you do get it, Star Family, please send pictures and let me know like how it turns out, because I want to try to find that boot. I'm going to try to find that boot. I am somebody who will stalk an item until it's at the price that I want to spend. But congrats to Mary. I think that this was a smart thing to do. We've been asking her to do a boot collection for a very long time. And maybe she's just trying to the collab to see if this is something that she can do on her own. I hope so. I like her style. She looks gorgeous in this picture. She has an earring collection that my sister loves. She does really, she does really great collabs, but I think she has it in her to do her own thing. I think she has the fan base ready for that, and she is just a great inspiration for that, and her looks alone. Maybe she doesn't want to do it, but I'm just like, girl, there's money there. There's money there. This $1,300 boot sold out in a recession within a few hours. So there's actually something there. But I will say, I was just like, oh, $1,300? Okay, well, hopefully I can get it on clearance. Nordstrom, please. Anyway, that's all my thoughts on this boot. What do you guys think? Let me know. I got one more super chat, and it is from Sebastian. And Sebastian says, Steve, man, I hate to say it. But I was like, when is Steve dropping this boot? When is Steve dropping this boot? Because I want it, but Mary, 1,300. Girl, I can't do it. Thank you so much for the super chat, Sebastian. OMG. Hold on. I missed the whole comment. Who y'all are talking in here? Absolutely. I love it. Thank you. Give Me Shelter. Step and Fetch's career was during the 1920s. Desegregation helped split the Black community. We were absorbed into the mainstream and helped strengthen white dollars, not Black upward mobility. Thank you. Absolutely for the correction in education. Oh, she's Oscar. Yeah, she's Oscar nominated. She is Oscar nominated. I forget what the name of the movie was, but it was a Black woman director. Yeah, she is Oscar nominated actress. Tiffany Nick says the boots fall under ghetto fabulous. I think that's why they're a bit expensive. Okay, I mean it's a nice boot. Like I would absolutely do it. I was like, oh, a nice birthday boot. Yes. Yes. Miss Marshall said I don't have a problem with her boots collab. I'm surprised people were surprised. I wasn't surprised with that. I mean, for me, I was just like, this is genius. It makes sense. No. It's not. But you know what? A lot of these designers are doing that. A lot of these designers are making designer items with cheaper fabrics. Hello, Chanel. Hello, is it Gucci? I think it's Louis. Hello, Louis with the plastic bags. Like a lot of these bags are like no longer leather. No longer leather. Like that's why you paid so much for designer because of the quality. You're not even getting the quality anymore. When are we rioting? That's where I get all my stuff. I follow this one person who's a stylist and I just wait. I'll wait for them to drop my size. OMG. Yeah, they were all very young. They were all very young, making millions back then, right? Very young. So I was just like, oh my God, this is so expensive, Mary. And I'm like, oh, wait. You were like rich at 24. Like, this makes sense. This makes sense. The Internet H said, I wish she had worked with a Black designer like Brandon Blackwood or something, but I understand. Well, me too, right? But did the Black designers approach her? Giuseppe saw a moment. He saw a movement. He saw a moment. Me too. I was like, it's reflective. So it's, when it start creasing, it's gonna start cracking. I can't. Love by You said Cardi B says she ain't voting, and low key I feel her because how are these our choices? I get that, and I understand the frustration. And she cannot not vote and be okay. She's wealthy, right? She'll be fine. Like America is always going to protect those who are making a lot of money. Now, as for me in my house, I don't have that luxury. So I have to do the unthinkable. Don't want to do it, but I ain't rich, right? I'm not. I got to do what I got to do. And I got to vote. Hey, Ryan. Ryan said, I've seen those boots in bulk with a plastic hanger. That's another thing. I was just like, this is such a familiar boot. It's such a familiar boot. Like we've already seen this. Like I think I've seen a boot Paris, Texas. They have a very similar boot. Schutz has a very similar boot. So I was just like, why would you come out with something so similar in this material and for $1,300? It just didn't. I don't know, but I'm not like rich, so for me, I'm like crunching the numbers and I'm like, none of this makes sense. But maybe it makes sense for rich people because that boot is sold out. Yeah, I get that. And also it's a test to see if this is something she wants to do. She could probably have her team observing to see if this is the right move for them. Josie said, I hope to be married when I'm her age. She's a true rich auntie. Yes, she is. And living her best life. Drewski says some of the girls were saying they were too expensive, but they're sold out. If you can't afford Ansi, just say that. I can't afford. Love by You said, I didn't know Serena came out with Skin and Beauty low until my A walked into Ulta. You know what? I did I saw a TikTok from a Black girl that I follow who does makeup. Serena's foundation and Danessa Myricks blurring balm, I'm getting them. I am getting them. Now where I'm gonna get my work shoes. I hate that. I'm just like, leave working class stuff alone. There was nothing wrong with Payless. Nothing wrong with Payless. We went to Buster Brown's. In the Germantown Mall in Philly. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so many. But the thing about it is I feel like a lot of these celebrities are missing the mark sometimes concerning the prices, because I'm just like, now, do you want this to be sustainable, or do you want this to be like, everybody wants to be luxury? And I'm just like, this is not the time. We are not in the season of luxury. We are not in the season of luxury. People are screaming, eat the rich. This is not the time to be the luxury person. We need a celebrity with some sense. We need a celebrity with a Target collab. Like, let's start making some sense here. Me too. Love, like you said, hey, I like Black people who can get their stuff sold out. Me too. Good for her. Good for Mary. Yeah, Mudbound. Thank you so much, NNH. Michelle said Shannon knew what was happening. I watched for guests. He definitely said Gary was going to get him into trouble with Black women between the giggles. Yeah, it's always fun and games when it comes to harming us. Always. The Haitian Empress said Lewis has always been canvas. Some bags are and have always been leather. Stella McCartney's shoes and bags are all vegan leather because of her stance on cruelty towards animals. I absolutely get that and understand that with Stella. You got to drop them damn prices for vegan leather. Drop the plastic. Drop them prices. Drop them prices. People pay extra for leather because it's going to last longer. That's why you pay that price, because the price makes sense for the quality and the sustainability of the item. If you're giving me plastic, you better give me plastic prices. Yeah, she's fine. She's rich. Cardi's fine. Now, for a lot of us, absolutely not. Again, who knows? She doesn't have to. She doesn't have to. She's rich. She's rich. A pricier Steve Madden. A pricier. Hey Shanty, thank you for being here. The NNH said, I have the Danessa Myricks Balm and Serum Skin Tint. I love them. Now, the liquid foundation I didn't like. So I'm going to try the blurring powder, I think this is what it's called, blurring balm. I'm going to try that because I have an oily T-zone in her. I remember I had it on for like 2 days a while ago when I was doing lives. And my face was like so like greasy. And I was just like, yeah. But my sister, she's using her blurring balm and she's like, it's amazing. It's amazing. So I want to try that out. Serena's foundation as well. Teresa says, speaking of celebrity, oh wait, there we go. I'll get you right after Teresa. It's Latasha says, speaking of celebrity products, I want to get Pattern Beauty's new curling wand. It comes with a heat protective hand glove. I am fascinated. I like Pattern Beauty's branding. It's really cool. Teresa said, I like what Tamara Mellon did, help create Jimmy Choo, sold it, then began her own label at half the price. I like her boots. That's smart. I didn't know that. I did not know that. And I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. I'm not paying $1,400 and my shoes are going to be chipping in a month. I don't know when it's going to rain. Now my expensive boots are jacked up. Absolutely not. Anyway, family, that's going to be my last, because I am my last comment, because I'm late for my next live, which is a reality TV chat where we're talking about all things Clay from Love is Blind, Amir supposedly leaving Summer House, the new cast of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and the new Golden Bachelorette. The first, actually. So let me get out of here and prepare for that. I will see you guys in a few minutes who are joining me in the next live. Thank you all so much. Love ya. There were some tough conversations in here. So take care of yourself. Come back to laugh. That one is going to be a little bit more silly. So love you all. See you soon. Bye. Bye.